the meta conspiracy episode here on MKUSUAL. It's like MK Ultra, but more normal.
I'm Nick.
I'm Dennis.
And I'm scared.
I'm scared too.
Dennis told me to wear protection for this episode.
I did. I was like, you gotta wear it. We didn't wear them for anything last week. Well, the news, MKUSUAL. And that was just me. I felt so alone. But this is the self-referential conspiracy episode. You've seen them, you love them, you've heard about them, you've laughed at them. Are tinfoil hats a conspiracy? I've been threatening to do this episode since the first time we made these hats.
Are they?
Well, I don't know. Thanks for watching. The symbol of conspiracy theorists, the thing that makes you picture someone hiding from the government's mind control rays and unseen powers. What have I told you? Tinfoil hats themselves might be a conspiracy. What if the idea of wearing a tinfoil hat is itself part of a larger psychological operation to mock and discredit anyone who believes in alternative theories, suggesting that wearing one makes you crazy and reinforces stereotypes of conspiracy theories as irrational? We're going to look at that. We're going to look at psychological control tools and a little teaser for you guys. It might not just be a psychological trick. Wearing a tinfoil hat might literally make you more likely to be mind controlled. You know this if you're a long-time watcher, but we're going to get into it. I feel like you got something cooked up here.
Well, it just reminded the movie, made me think of the movie Signs, because they all put on the kids read the book by Dr. Bimbu, and then they...
I didn't realize that was... Wasn't Mel Gibson conspiracy theory, too? Did he have a tinfoil hat in that?
No, he was just living it. He was literally living it, because it was like MK Ultra. They gave him the gravy, and then he was like this assassin, and he killed Julia Roberts' dad and then became her bodyguard. But he didn't know, or he became like obsessed with her, and he didn't know why. And then it's because I think she probably saw him kill her dad or something I don't know.
Movie spoiler alert.
Great movie, amazing.
I'm gonna rewatch it.
Yeah,
I don't know. Well, Sam Tripoli's Tinfoil Hat podcast. This idea is just like permeated culture. So I was like, dude, we gotta have a fun one. Origins of the concept. The idea of using tinfoil as a form of protection against external forces predates the idea of the tinfoil hat meme. In the early 20th century, electromagnetic radiation became subject of scientific concern, with doctors and researchers investigating the effects of the electric fields on the human body. Tinfoil is known for its reflective properties and as a possible shield at the time for these invisible forces. Now, the tinfoil hat meme entered popular culture, most notably in the 50s and 60s, so it's older than most of your parents, with the rise of paranoia surrounding mind control and government surveillance. They probably can't hear that, but that was a great... This was the period when MK Ultra, CIA's mind control experiments, was uncovered, and concerns about the ability of the government to control your mind became a mainstream topic. The tinfoil hat became a way to poke fun at the idea of mind control, yet it also became a symbol of resistance against perceived overreach.
This made me think of, like, would you live under a power line as a kid? It's like that's probably like,
yeah,
I don't know. That's like the concerns about, like, oh, all these telegraph and electricity lines are gonna, I don't know, whatever they thought was gonna happen to them.
I gotta know, when was the first instance in media of a person wearing a tinfoil hat? I gotta know. Ooh, 1927. Julian Huxley's science fiction short story, The Tissue Culture King, published in Yale Review.
Julian Huxley, that's Aldous's brother.
In 1927, this was written, the protagonist discovers that metal headgear can block mind control waves. emitted by an advanced civilization. The passage describes the character using metal foil caps to prevent telepathic influence, laying the groundwork for the modern tinfoil hat trope. 1927.
That's pretty early. Almost 100 years ago.
Yeah, I would call that. I would. Nobody can know if that was 100 years ago. We're not all Einsteins, but it's close.
Yeah.
So the tinfoil hat has become an icon of ridicule. In modern culture, the hat has shifted from a symbol of protection to one of ridicule.
I guess it would have been 103 years ago.
Wait, no, 98.
Yeah.
Dude, did I just gaslight you into not knowing math?
Yep.
I was just making a stupid joke. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I hate that feeling, though. I know the feeling when your reality shifts a little bit.
It's like, what year is it?
Oh, my gosh. From memes and social media posts to late-night talk shows, the great Weird Al foil, the We'll Never Be Royals, his parody of that is great. It deals with, it's like aluminum foil, and then he gets into all the conspiracies at the end.
Okay.
The ridicule surrounding the hat could serve as a psychological operation, making people who question mainstream narratives feel marginalized, absurd, and isolated. I want to point out, Nick, who invented the term conspiracy theory?
The CIA.
That's right. And originally, I believe it was just assigned to people who didn't believe the JFK assassination narrative.
The Warren Report.
They invented a whole term, which people now gladly call themselves. I guess that's how culture works. But how ironic. I mean, that fits the whole... The
meta psyop
that fits
of
the meta. Yeah, that fits the whole tone of this episode, because literally, if you call yourself a conspiracy theorist, you're labeling yourself what the CIA wanted you to label yourself.
Yes.
And if you wear the hat, you're doing what the higher ups want you to do. This is weird cultural resistance. So, as I mentioned earlier, MK Ultra and mind control. The MK Ultra programs active from 50s to the 70s, included using drugs like LSD, sleep deprivation, aimed to manipulate individuals' thoughts and control of their thoughts. Widespread fear upon public disclosure of these experiments help explain why tinfoil hat became the symbol of paranoia, but also a symbol of resistance. Some theorists believe that the ridicule of the tinfoil hat wearer could be part of a larger strategy to dismiss legitimate concerns about government manipulation and surveillance. If we associate the idea of wearing a tinfoil hat with madness and eccentricity, it becomes easier for the mainstream to dismiss those who warn about the government overreach, mass surveillance, psychological warfare, and to discredit those who challenge authority.
We're just a couple of silly guys having a silly time trying to undermine the government because they told us to.
I often say that the country we are, if you think about living in North Korea as being a dog in a cage, I consider living in America to be like being a tiger in one of those nice enclosures with fake plants and the jungle's drawn on the wall. It's just like a much more opulent, nice enclosure. You get a little more room on that leash, if you will, but you're still in the system. Electromagnetic manipulation.
And you can also kill your handlers much easier.
Yes, there are some advantages to being. Everyone would rather be the tiger than the dog,
right?
And some would say it's our culture and our values and the Second Amendment and the First Amendment that makes us the tiger.
Yes.
So that necessarily you can't keep us in a cage, but enclosure nonetheless. So the idea that tinfoil hat can act as a shield against electromagnetic frequencies, or EMFs, is tied to fears surrounding mind control. As early as the 70s, studies about electromagnetic radiation and its potential effect on human cognition were already making waves, no pun intended, in scientific circles. The theory that certain frequencies could influence thoughts, or even alter brain waves became widely known. Could the cultural meme have been intentionally propagated to make these concerns feel absurd? Hello, two things. One, 5G. Let's say you don't believe in that. There are patents for mind control waves. There are government patents for real life microwave mind control waves. It exists. Nick is looking them up. Second thing, Havana syndrome.
Undeniable.
Our own unless you believe it's a psyop to get us into war with somebody or something, like, undeniable that there's microwave weapons. Funny how your government can patent the microwave weapons and claim to be victims of the microwave weapons, but you shall not believe in the microwave weapons. And in fact, defending yourself against them is a cardinal sin. Talking about EMFs, talking about outside of Havana syndrome, talking about EMFs or microwave weapons is like the third rail death knell for somebody who's challenging authority. It is the thing that they pin on Alex Jones, the 5G. It is the, Bill Gates wants to put microchips in your blood. The direct manipulation of the brain through waves is the symbol of a crazy person. And this was done intentionally, the same way the word conspiracy theorist was created.
Beyond directed sound, it's long been known that microwaves at certain frequencies can produce an auditory effect that sounds like it's coming from within someone's head. And there's the nagging question of classified microwave work at Brooks Air Force Base that the Air Force stubbornly refuses to talk about.
Definitely Wired?
Wired. Holosonic Research Labs, American Technology Corporation both have versions of directed sound. DARPA appears to be working on its own sonic projector. Intriguingly, Strategy Page reports that troops are using the Long Range Acoustic Device, LRAD, as a modified voice of God weapon. The LRAD is a microwave weapon.
Now that, though, I mean,
they can also just crank up the energy from LRAD and it like microwaves you. It like makes your skin boil. It boils the water under your skin. It feels like you're on fire.
I think I've told the story before. It's told on the telepathy tapes. Lucille Ball from I Love Lucy claimed in a radio interview in the early 40s that while driving home from MGM Studios in LA, she suddenly began hearing music and voices inside of her head. She later came to find out that these sounds were coming from her dental fillings, which were picking up radio broadcasts. This is less common now because we use different materials. Mm-hmm. She reported mentioning this to the authorities, and soon after, a Japanese spy ring was discovered in the area.
Well.
But again, there's the... I just want to point out there's a proportionality, because there is no bigger symbol of a crackpot than a tinfoil hat. But there is no greater goal for a tyrant than to wirelessly tell you what to think. Mm-hmm. That is, don't they call that, the military, they call it the voice of God?
Mm-hmm. They use, that goes back to like the Gulf War. They were using this technology.
If you were an insane psychopath, dark energy narcissist, the type of people who run their world, just flicking a switch or putting a little microphone in front of your face and saying, do what I say, and then they do it, because you are the voice of God, there is no greater goal. Therefore, the idea of protecting yourself from the greatest goal is the greatest form of mockery.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway.
Well, here's a list. You can see how long this list is. These are all supposed patents that are having to do with directed energy weapons or target individual patents.
Oh, my Lord.
Apparatus for audibly communicating speech using the radio frequency hearing effect. Pulsative manipulation of central nervous system. Method and device for producing a desired brain state via magnetic waves. It's just a list of U.S. patent, U.S. patent, U.S. patent. Just.
Oh, no.
There's a lot. There's probably 100 at all different frequencies. Low, medium, high, super high, extremely high, ultra low, 3 hertz to 300 gigahertz. Applications, Navy strategic communications. That makes sense. Long range radio communication. AM broadcast, shortwave, ham, FM, TV, police and fire, GPS, cell phone.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Anybody who's ever put foil around, I mean, this dates us quite a bit, around the TV antenna.
Yep.
Because, as I teased at the beginning, there are certain frequencies, and you should know this if you know about it. There are certain frequencies where this does the exact opposite of what it's supposed to do. Let's look at the frequencies here. So an MIT study in 2005, researchers tested tinfoil hats and found that certain frequencies, 2.6 gig to 1.2 gig, were actually amplified rather than blocked. Notably, 2.6 is used for some GPS signals, military satellites, and cellular networks.
Mm-hmm.
Small gaps in the foil or specific folds can create resonance chambers, amplifying certain signals instead of blocking them. At microwave frequencies, it can focus and reflect signals such as Wi-Fi, radar, and some military communications. And at extremely low frequencies, it does not shield well at all. Low frequencies to mid, depending on its shape, it can act like a parabolic reflector, boosting the signals. Well, there you have it.
Here's one. This one's interesting. This is U.S. patent 8579793B1. A couple names that come up in a lot of these. So there's like... this controls brain state by placing engineered EMF patterns into the AC wiring of a building.
Whoa.
Your whole home is resonating.
Whoa.
The next one is induce desired brain state in person by adding waves into a music file.
That makes sense. Keep looking at that. Just keep spouting them off when you find interesting ones.
They're all fucking terrible. Method and apparatus for analyzing neurological response to emotion-inducing stimuli. Intraoral electronic tracking device that can be implanted in teeth and dentures.
Oh no! You know how your printer? You know how printers, they use the color ink, and it's illegal to make a printer outside of like 4 companies?
Yes.
Because every time you print something on your home or office printer, it has a little barcode.
Yep.
To tell who did it.
It has a signature.
How long until some kind of material is like government mandated to be in your fillings?
or your food, or your water owned by Nestle.
I just want to point out the irony, and this I'm sure this is all a coincidence, that it blocks most things on this end or this end of the spectrum, but the things it lets in are the military GPS satellites. And I'm not saying the government wants you to wear a tinfoil hat, but I got to do it for the viewers.
Right.
You tune in because you wanted to hear that tinfoil hats are conspiracy, and that's a fact you can tell your friends. It's conspiracy in two ways. One, I'm being mind controlled right now. If the government was shooting stuff at me already, this is me. And look how crazy I'm acting, because they want me to act this way. This is what they want. They want me to tell you so you don't believe me.
This is a vicious spiral.
I know.
This one controls emotional state of subject. For example, sleepiness, sexual arousal, slow mental processes.
The horny wave.
A horny little dum-dum.
Is there one that makes you smarter?
I haven't found one of those. There's several that are for placing tones into music. There was okay, you know that movie? I've watched it a couple times recently.
No.
What's it called? Say Goodbye to the World or something.
I've never seen it.
With Julia Roberts. It was produced by the Obamas.
Oh, okay.
It's like a not apocalyptic, but it's like an end of the world scenario. But someone supposedly took the film, they were a sound engineer, and they were able to isolate a tone that is played through the entire movie.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
That's why I keep rewatching it.
Well, it could be
because I'm compelled to. There could be a lot of reasons for that. One is like it's supposed to, the tone of the movie is like unsettling kind of the whole time.
So maybe it's a tone that makes you.
It's supposed to like heighten that.
I don't like that.
For entertainment purposes.
I don't like that. I don't like doing something physically to someone's brain when you're supposed to be getting them with the art.
Right.
I don't think that should be legal. If it's not something you can audibly hear, that shouldn't be part of the movie to make you feel something. That's not...
Right.
It's the difference between... I was watching this thing about... This is so off topic. It was the difference between method acting and representational acting. I was watching this thing about cinema and like the way acting has changed.
Okay.
And then somebody was talking about Robert De Niro or somebody like Daniel Day-Lewis, or when Jim Carrey went like insane playing Andy Kaufman and they refused to. It was some English actor who was on a movie with one of those clowns, and he says, "Have you ever tried acting?" Because the guy was like, he was saying, "Hit me." He was in some movie. He was like, "Really hit me." So that he's like, "Well, have you considered act?" So that's kind of how I feel about this movie thing. Like, there's no legitimate artistic value in manipulating someone's brain. What if they find a tone that makes you sad? What if, like, when you're watching a TV show, it's like tone that makes you sad, tone that makes you happy? That's like, that's not okay. That freaks me out, dude. That like legitimately freaks me out more than any of this. And it has to be the freaking Obama movie? What the hell?
This one superimposes subliminal imaging onto a subject's existing television signal. And these are related, but apparatus for remote neural control of subjects via an implanted RF circuit. So that requires going in and putting something in there.
There's a 2013 study by Journal of Applied Physics that also found the same thing as MIT about the tinfoil hats. Bruh.
That's hilarious that MIT fucking funded this thing. They're like, so it must.
Well, it's I call it the, and maybe I didn't invent this, but people in UFO circles talk about this a lot. It's called like the X-Files effect, and now they don't do it so much anymore. But if you remember the 80s, or if you remember the 90s, 2000s, 2010s, I feel like it's not a 2020s phenomenon. Maybe you'll catch it, but you'll never not notice it. Whenever they would bring up a UFO report on the news, whether it's CBS Evening News, local news, they would always play the no.
Oh yeah.
Or they would show the "I want to believe" type. They would always show something, and that was too. The argument is that was social programming. It's a joke, kind of. It's like a little tip and nod to people, but it's also social programming that you are immediately your brain goes into, this is entertainment mode, this is woo-woo stuff mode, this is weird shit mode.
Okay.
So that they would never do that before a story about like a trade war. They were like, dun, 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 you know what I mean? Because they want you to like take that seriously, listen to it. But they would psychologically prime people with the X-Files theme. It's the X-Files effect or the X-Files factor, I think people have called it. And the tinfoil hats is the same thing. It's an element of social control and to discredit people. A tool of social control and a psychological operation. One might ask, why is the image so pervasive? Is it just a coincidence, or is there a deliberate effort to make them seem insane? It marginalizes people and makes you not question government control, corporate manipulation, or loss of privacy. Didn't mean to make this an actual... Did you find an especially freaking weird one?
Well, I found one from 1967. I wasn't really looking at the dates. Most of them are like mid-90s to now. But this one is from 1967. It was renewed in 71. From General Dynamics Corporation. A system for producing audio, psychological disturbances and partial deafness in the enemy. Then there was one from 1968 that remotely causes individual to hear voices via EMF waves imperceptible to anyone else. 1968.
Bro, I think honestly, dude, the Obama movie and the thing about putting it in waveforms of songs.
I mean, there was literally dozens.
Oh, there's
list.
dozens, if not 100. Yeah, it's
specifically for putting a tone into another, like in music. A lot of them were music, but some of it was like TV or.
Well, that freaks me out because that makes me think of how digital media, or not digital, about how like what do they call it? Media that you can hold in your hands.
Oh, physical media.
Physical media is disappearing.
Yes.
And how if something is an electronic file, it could have this waveform in it, and it could be reproduced. Like, okay, if you have a VHS tape or even a DVD, if you have a DVD, you got to rewrite it to your computer to burn a new one. You can get in there and mess with the files. If you got a VHS tape, you got to copy it onto another VHS tape. There's a quality loss, which is just acceptable. A record, there's a certain amount of quality. A CD, there's a certain amount, but you have to burn the CD onto your computer. You can get around in that file. But like, if you eliminate physical media, then every time you copy or recreate that piece of media, it can have that data in it.
Mm-hmm.
It would survive every single copying. This is...
Oh, here's a good one.
I did not expect it to go down that route.
We were just having a goof.
We were having the goof time.
This one is interesting. Makes voices emanate from individuals who do not...
It makes me talk?
Who do not intend or realize it. Ventriloquist effect.
Whoa!
Government's got their hand up your ass, working you like a little puppet.
Working you like a puppet. Tell your friends the tinfoil hats are conspiracy. They're not going to be... Your friends don't listen to you, okay? They're going to think at first you said something like tinfoil hats are for conspiracies.
Then just tell them the government told you to say it.
Yes. And tell them again, they're going to like this information. There's a fun little fact. Well... I would like to, knowing that it came from Aldous Huxley's brother makes me feel a little better.
Yeah, he was like definitely a globalist, probably forerunner of these
Yale,
smart city.
Skull and Bones.
Yeah.
Sorry, keep going.
Julian was connected to MI6, and there's just been...
So the CIA created conspiracy theory, and MI6 created Tinfoil Hat?
Yep.
Wow.
That's the implication here, I think.
That's the headline. I don't know. Do you have any final thoughts?
No.
That's the theory.
If I read any more of these, I'm not going to sleep tonight.
All right. Well, you're already not going to sleep because
the government's going to microwave my brain tonight.
Yeah. Let's go put on that Obama movie again. We love you. Drop a comment below. If you like more goofy stuff, let us know. Like and subscribe.
Thanks for the tinfoil hat, Lori.
Thug Life Certified.